The muscle up is my favorite movement to train, and I've been working on them for years. I've even competed at the highest level and really perfected my technique. But before that, they were actually a weak point for me. I tried every progression I could find back then, and while most of them looked cool, they were making it way too complicated. What finally exploded my progress wasn't a long list of variations. It was a single exercise repeated over and over. In this video, I'll show you my exact approach, how the muscle up actually works, and how to progress until you're flying over the bar. So let's get into it. Most people divide the muscle up into 3 sections: the pull, the transition, and the dip. Train each one separately, then put them together, right? Well, not quite. If we want a simple solution, we need to isolate what really matters. You don't need extra exercises for the dip, and while strengthening the transition makes sense for a slow muscle up, it doesn't really transfer when you're quickly landing on the bar. So the remaining goal is pretty simple: get more explosive so you can pull yourself higher. This is by far the best way to gain strength for the muscle up, and naturally that means focusing on a pull-up variation. And while any kind of pulling will help, especially once you start adding weight, we can speed up progress by making it more specific. You see, when looking at the muscle up, the pulling path is pretty different. That's because in order to move above the bar, we first need to move around it. And that requires leaning back to create some distance. If you pull straight up, the bar will only block you in your path. So here's what you do instead. Start by jumping into the bar and swing forward until your body is somewhat diagonal. Then, exactly as the swing reverses, start pulling while maintaining that tilted body line. That way you'll automatically put yourself in the optimal position. And then once you're able to pull yourself high enough, the transition is all about timing. A good tip is doing a headbutt motion forward when your lower chest reaches the bar, but again, the hardest part is getting strong enough to reach that height. Actually, even if you already have a solid strength base, the muscle up can still feel impossible if you're not used to the mechanics. But by copying the diagonal path, we can create an easier exercise with direct carryover, the diagonal pull-up. Okay, so there's a few different scenarios. Either you're trying to learn the kipping muscle up, maybe you're past that onto the straight-legged kip, or you're advanced and working on the strict muscle up. No matter your level, diagonal pull-ups will build the raw pulling strength you need. And then we can also create a slightly more technical version by making some adjustments. But before we start tweaking the exercise, let's look at just the standard variation. Here we follow the pulling path of a muscle up while removing as many other elements as possible. And if they seem difficult, don't worry, as they work great with a resistance band. For the setup, make sure that your hands are about shoulder width apart and that you rotate your knuckles up until they're pointing to the ceiling. This is what works best with any explosive pulling. Then, exactly like the beginning of a muscle up, swing forward and initiate the pull when the swing reverses. After reaching your max height, simply lower yourself forward to re-enter the bottom position, and repeat. When you have that down, you can aim for a few sets of 5 to 7 reps, pulling as explosive as you can. If your reps start to become slow or grinders, it's better to stop the set and add a resistance band. On the other hand, if they feel easy, you simply pull even higher within the rep range. And I will say that finding the rhythm does take some practice. To keep your momentum going, it's important that you actively tighten your core and continue swinging through the bar. It's a very common mistake to reset a dead hang between reps because that's what we're used to in pull-ups. And that's really all there is to it. You simply pull to your own level, and since it's likely a new movement pattern, you'll get to enjoy fast progress. But as mentioned, we can also add some extra steps to focus more on the technique. Because while clean muscle ups is the end goal, in earlier progressions we're not only relying on pulling power, we're also using momentum from the hips to help generate height. Luckily, it's something we pretty seamlessly can practice through the diagonal pull-up. For example, if you're yet to learn your first muscle up, you can simply add a kip to the exercise. This involves quickly raising your knees exactly when the swing reverses and the pull begins. That way you'll practice the timing and feeling that will later translate into the muscle up. And eventually, when you're able to reach the lowest point of transition, your lower chest at the height of the bar, well, then you're ready for the kipping muscle up. Now, if you're already past this and trying to clean up your reps instead, for example through a straight-legged kip, the principle is also simple. You simply add the amount of momentum that matches what you're currently using in your muscle-ups. And then as you get more efficient, you gradually reduce the amount to make it more subtle. This allows you to practice the most important aspect of the muscle-up, momentum generation, while progressing directly into the strict muscle-up. As for the rep range here, you can keep it similar to the standard variation between 5 to 7 reps, because this is a good sweet spot to focus on explosiveness and also get in some quality volume. If you implement both of these variations of the diagonal pull-up, chances are your progress will take off just like mine did. And if you want to know exactly how I structure these exercises, you can check out my training programs in the description. Before ending the video, I also quickly want to mention that if you're looking for some new calisthenics equipment, my sponsors at Nation have some very high quality options. You can use my code checkup10 for 10% off. I put the link in the description. That was it for the video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something new, and I will see you in the next one.